Good morning. This is a head, heart, and handwork. This is the fiber and floss discussion part 3. So in the last one, we looked at some pictures of what worn floss looks like and why we don't want to do that in our needlework. So here's another, and I made an argument that part of the reason why you don't want to do a long length, like a 24-inch, fold it over and have a really long tail because of the part where the needle gets worn, or where the floss gets worn from the eye of the needle. One of these days, learn how to speak properly. Here's another argument for it. So if you're not a spinner or have never taken spinning, the spun fibers have a direction. They're either clockwise or they're counterclockwise. We went back to that picture about how there's the two piles. Each individual pile is spun one way, and then the two piles together are spun the other way. When you have a super long tail, where those fibers are all in the same direction, so it's nice and smooth, you have a long tail, you fold it over, and then you're stitching with that, those fibers are in the opposite direction. They're going to be rubbing on each other. So it's not just the eye that gets torn up, it's everything that's lying on top of another just because of the opposite direction of those fibers. Now, again, this is just a you do you. I have a lot of technical. I have been doing embroidery and needlework since I was 5 years old. This is almost 46 years now. I started doing kind of cross stitch when I was 16. And I've been a member of the EGA and the Historic Needlework Guild and ANG, which is the American Needle Pointers Guild. I've been deep into the geekery of this stuff for years, and the technical stuff always interests me. Is most of this important for everyday knit stitching? No, it's not. Is this something you're going to want to know if you're going to turn things in for judgment? Yeah, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at their stuff with a magnifying glass to see how much your stuff's been ripped up. If you're just going to put it on your wall and enjoy it, don't stress about all this stuff. This is just a highly technical discussion. Sorry, kid interrupted. So, this is just me geeking out about the high technical stuff that if you're not going to turn it in for judging, don't worry about it. It's just, like I said, I'm also a teacher, so informed knowledge, informed choice. So stitch what you want to stitch how you want to stitch. There is really no right nor wrong way. It's just our actions have consequences on our finished work. So I'm going to be doing some more technical discussions. I'm going to do one about needles, like why use pointed versus not. And did you know there's a right and a wrong? Happy making. Oh, good afternoon. This is the second half of my update post. What have I been up to for the last couple of weeks? What have I made? So one thing I've been working on has been this monster. It's huge. This is a colorwork sweater. This is Descent. I've got the two things, and this is how far I've gotten since the last two times. So the Pooh Bear butt marks where I was last time, and that's how much stitching I've gotten done. This thing is enormous, and it's really kind of hard right now to really see the color work. It's really cool. I like it. I have 6 more rows of color work, and then I get to do a little bit more and then think split for sleeves. And then I finally get to try it on and figure out, is it too big? Is it too small? Because if it's too big, that means I got to rip it all out and try again. If it's too small, I can work with that. It's easier to work with things that are too small with knitting than too big. If they're too small, you can kind of block it. It'll stretch. That's the joy of wool. If it's too big, it's just going to get worse. If you're not knitted sweaters, and this is worsted weight, they stretch as they hang on you. And so it is just going to get worse. So I'll have to rip it all out and try again with smaller needles, which will suck. But again, I'd rather rip it all out and get it done the way I want it and love it so that I wear it. And the other thing, this is my birthday month. So yes, I've been trying to work out a stash. But I have been lusting after the materials for a chart that I have. Last time, or a couple of times back, I just started the Dark Queen of the Earth. Check this chart. This is the Dark Queen of the Sea by Autumn Lane. Gorgeous! Now, one of the things I really like about this chart is that they threw in a lot of customization. So if you didn't like that hair, here's 5 other different hair options. How cool is that? So I splurged and got the fabric. So here's the fabric. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that blue and purple. I got it directly from Under the Sea Fabrics. This is Bewitched. So this is the called for linen, 32 count. And then I also bought the called for specialty threads. This is Treasure Braid. And all the little goodies that make it fun. So like the pink beads and the blue beads and the bugle beads and the special other beads. And then look, they sent you a needle and it's shaped like a fishy. Actually, it's upside down. There we go, fishy. So that's pretty much all for this week. So happy making. Have a great week. This is my least favorite part of needlework. And this is a head hardened handwork. It's wash day. I have a ton of needleworks that need to be washed because, you know, rather than being in a pile, I'd rather they be on my walls. How many is that? It's like 9. Ugh. Oh yeah, this was a Christmas present for last year, so I really need to get this one done. So I bet some are asking, why wash the handwork? Well, there's 2 reasons. Or why wash your needlework? Oh my gosh. 2 reasons. 1, hand oils. No matter if you clean your hands right before you start stitching, your hands are still going to exude oils and dirt that's going to get on your needlework, which will stain as time goes on. The other reason, especially if you stitch on Aida, like my kid here, you absolutely need to wash it. Everybody loves Aida because it's so nice and stiff and it holds. Do you ever ask yourself why is it so stiff? It's not the weaving process. It's all the starch that's in it. So this fabric has been soaked in either cornstarch or potato starch or some other starch product to make it stiff. Remember our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, you have starch your clothes. That's what makes it stiff. You need to wash that out. Otherwise, it will attract bugs as the years go by. So I get a great big bowl. In fact, this is the biggest bowl I own. I put a teeny amount of dishwashing soap in there. And then I fill it with the coldest water I've got. So I have my big bowl of cold soapy water. I have a piece of Shout's color catcher. And then my needlework. I tend to only do 1 or 2 pieces at a time. Stick this one in because I want everything to move. And then I'm just going to let it sit. Now I'll let that sit for 10 or 15 minutes. Why do I use dish soap? Dish soap is formulated to remove oil, which is what I'm trying to do. I also use cold water because if we go back to fibers, if you use hot water, it opens those fibers up, so the dye is more likely to bleed. If you use cold water, those fibers are going to close and stay closed, so the dye will more likely stay in. As a just in case, I put one of those color bleed sheets in it. And then I'll take it out and iron it dry.